Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 of my Crosman 1322 modification series. Today I'm going to install the steel breech. It comes the breech quarters and plug for the rear of the breech. It gives you the Allen wrenches needed. You just need to supply your own flathead screwdriver, and it uses the same screws that the stock breech uses to secure it to the air tube. I'm also today going to install this extended bolt probe that I got from Melon Air. Took some measurements between the probe that came with the receiver and the Melon Air probe. So the diameter of the actual probe measured the same. So they're the same both ways around. Length difference. The stock one is 1.757 inches long, while the extended probe is a full 1.846 inches long. The tip diameters are also different. The tip diameter on the stock replacement is 0.119 inches. And the diameter on the extended probe is 0.1085 inches. Now, what this extra length and slightly smaller diameter does is the length will push the pellet into the barrel farther past the transfer port in the barrel. What that does is it gives you a little bit more air behind the pellet, which will increase your velocity. The same for the narrower probe. It's just a slight bit more air, a little bit less air resistance as it passes by as well. Helps improve in performance. And the extended probe also allows inletting of the barrel port to give it like a little ramp, so that there's less turbulence from the air entering the barrel and pushing the pellet. So that's what I'm gonna currently. I'm not gonna mess with the barrel yet. Just gonna do the receiver and the extended probe, and then we'll see what that does performance-wise. All right. Oh, I also got a new pivot pin for the pump arm from Melon. I'm going to put that in off camera. I'm not going to do that because it's going to take me a bit to hammer out that push pin. So, and it's just a really simple replacement. You don't really need to see it. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to disassemble the barrel and receiver off the stock gun so we can put the new one on. It's pretty simple. Here we go. Right, make sure you don't lose your transfer port O-ring there. Gonna line up the transfer port before I slip the breech on. Or not. Okay. The breech has a stop guide. It will only go on far enough for it to line up with the transfer port on the barrel. So just gotta get that to line up with the barrel. This is the tricky part. There. That, I'll take the plug for the back, slip it in, take that flathead screw, install it. And you take that same hex head that you had and held the other breech on. It will also hold this one. Now, when you go final install, you can always add a little touch of blue Loctite to these. Right, and then the barrel set screw, which is a Allen head screw. The supplied wrench fits that. Goes right into the top of the receiver. It comes with a dab of blue Loctite already on it. Alright, there we go. So that's it. And you see now there are no more open sights. So now I'm going to have to install a scope or get me an aftermarket sight that goes into this slot right here. So that's done. That's it. It's really simple. It's already done. So now, like I said, I'm going to install this pivot pin off camera, and then we're going to go do some more chrony testing. See if installing this new breech with this extended probe is going to give us any performance improvements just for that. Alright, see you in a bit. Okay, before I start the chrony, so something else did. I'm going to put some sticky Velcro on the air tube where plastic handguards strike it. Just a little quieter. Just want to do that. And then got the pin in. You know, it's not pretty, but it's a lot more solid than and sturdy than that rolled pin that comes in the gun. So if you're going to be repeatedly taking your gun apart or doing power mods where you're going to need to really push on this handle to get the air into the valve, I would go ahead and switch out your pin. Alright, let's get to the chrony testing. Alright, so it's been windy and rainy, so it's been a while since I've filmed. It's really windy. See that little tree behind me is blowing around. Hopefully the garage is blocking enough wind you can hear me. So, from the last part, we just did put this stuff in. Now I've got a 1/4 inch poly tubing in there. I haven't done anything to the barrel port or the valve port. Just stuck it in there. Just wanted to see what it would do if you didn't do any of the modifications to make it seat better. Just pulling out the stock one, putting in a piece of 1/4 inch poly tubing. So it went from the stock transfer port. It is now a 0.17 inch ID for the transfer port using poly. So I'm going to chrony that and see what happens when you just stick the tubing in there and don't do anything else to it. See if it goes up on the FPS or down. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, summary time. So, in this video, we just replaced the breech block and added in the long bolt probe and the pivot pin and a little piece of Velcro that doesn't really do anything anyway. And then testing with the standard transfer port and a piece of poly. So, we started off with the stock parts at 455.47 feet per second. Okay, so then we added in the breech and the extended bolt. Now I expected to get more out of the extended bolt than the 1.2 feet per second that we got. But it is an improvement nonetheless. And the primary reason for getting the extended probe and the steel breech is for a base for further mods. You need them for the power mods. Well, not necessarily the extended bolt, but if I get around to beveling the inside of the barrel's transport, I'll need the extended bolt probe to get that pellet past the new hole I'll be making if I enlarge it any, which I probably will later on. And the steel breech is a much more solid foundation to build upon with your power mods and longer barrels. So that's why I wanted to put those on there to begin with. So, and then I put that piece of poly in there without modifying the barrel or the valve just to see what it would do. Just so I could have it recorded and that dropped down to 447.21 feet per second for a loss of 9.4 right around. So there you have it. If you don't match your transfer port size to your valve port and your barrel port, you get a loss, not an increase. It's because of going small, large, small. It's turbulence. It makes it all work bad. So, if you're gonna enlarge your transfer port, you need to enlarge your valve port and your barrel ports to match. Otherwise, you're likely to get a net negative outcome, which we do not want. Alright, so that's the end of this portion. In part 4, I am going to stuff the piston. I got some rod stock from the hardware store. I'm going to cut it to size for the spacing, put it in there with the washer, and then I'm going to mill down the cone of the valve. It's about 4 thou. It's going to be. I think that's the width of the washer that I got to go behind the piston cup. That's what you want to mill your valve tip to. You want it to reduce your valve length by the addition of your piston length because of the washer. The stock piston and cup and valve match up very well to begin with. So if you're going to put a spacer in there, you need to shave down the valve tip so they still match up right. But you don't want to overdo the shaving because then you'll end up with negative effects instead of positive. But we'll get into that in the next video. So that's it. That's what I'm going to start with. Stuffing the piston, shaving the valve, and then we'll go from there, see if I open up the valve any and start messing around inside there, messing with the transfer ports, and then we'll see what we get with that. Alright, see you on the next one.